Thank you, Harsh. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, faculty members, and fellow student managers, a pleasant afternoon to each one of you gathered here. My name is Shubham Yadav, intern at Bajaj Auto Finance, and I proudly represent the seniors batch at BIMM. Please join me to extend a warm welcome to our remarkable guest, Shashank Shekhar sir, a true leader in the realm of technology and innovation. With more than 15 years of experience in the dynamic field of digitech, our guest brings to a stage a wealth of knowledge and achievement that deserves our admiration. Throughout his journey, Sir has harnessed the potential of cutting edge technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and computer vision, and created tangible solutions that benefit both B2C and B2B domains. However, our guest impact isn't limited to the world of technology. Sir also excels as confident communicator. His ability to communicate complex idea to senior executives is an asset in driving the convergence of technology and business. Sir is an industry leader in data science with experience across a spectrum of verticals including telecom, PG, retail, Hitch, and e-commerce. Sir currently leads the artificial intelligence labs at Subex. Sir's professional journey has encompassed prestigious roles at VMware, Amazon, Flipkart, and Target. Such contributions are revered internationally in conferences such as ICDM and MLDM, as well as his mentorship in the Global Datathon 2018. His voice has resonated in summits and conferences, including the Big Data Lake Summit, ICDM, PData, and Plugin. Along with his academic pursuits, such dedication to open source innovation is evident through the creation of two Python libraries, enriching the global Python community. Sir is celebrated as a leader with diverse experiences across domains like CPG, retail, high tech, and e commerce. His insights into strategizing machine learning and advanced analytics project is commendable. Today, as we embrace the wisdom and accomplishments that Shekhar sir brings, dear student managers, please join me in extending a heartfelt welcome to our esteemed guest, Shashank Shekhar sir. Sir, the stage is all yours.
Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Thanks for the introduction and thanks. And thank you for having me. Every time I come to your campus, right, I am incredibly impressed by the hospitality and the culture that your university holds, right? Um, you know, I would like to really pay my respect to Bala sir, right, for building such an incredible culture, such a vibrant, community of students and faculty members. So I really love coming here. This is my third time here, and every time I have come here, I have been mightily impressed. So, my topic today is AI powered business transformation. I know it's a post lunch session. You must be, you must have had, I mean, I saw the lunch spread which was there. You must have had very good lunch. But I will try and make it interesting, right? I also try and make it interactive. What we'll do is in 30 to 45 minutes, I will just talk about a few things that we have done and where the world of AI is moving, right? Now, how many of you know about artificial intelligence? I know that you have had a lot of sessions today, and you also had a lot of talks in last few weeks from industry leaders, and few of you are also, pursuing quite a few certification in the area of analytics, artificial intelligence. So I just want to know from your, show of hands, how many of you know about artificial intelligence? How many of you know about it? Just show of hands. Okay. Yeah. Show of hands. Guys, show your hand. How many of you know about artificial intelligence? See, the world of artificial intelligence has evolved in such a fashion that knowingly or unknowingly, everyone is using, some bit of artificial intelligence today, right? If you would ask me the question 5 years back, of course there were people, but there was very small niche, group of people who were actively engaging with tools and modules of AI, right? But today with Chat GPT, how many of you know about Chat GPT? All of you. How many of you used it for your assignments, projects, and other things? I'm sure that quite a few of you would have, right? So with the advent of generative AI, right, large language models, generative AI, everyone, right, is leveraging artificial intelligence in some or the other fashion. And also the needs of the industry have evolved in a fashion that the practitioners themselves, right, so the artificial intelligence practitioners, the kind of skill that they need to possess has also evolved over time, right? So you see, when I started my career, you heard in my introduction, I started my career about 16 years back. And at that time, to build an AI model, we used to take 8 to 10 weeks, right? And then also, it used to be suboptimal in production, right? And I'll talk about that in a bit. Today, the world is moving so fast that there is a lot of self-serve AI that has come into being, and an AI model, every day, right? There are plethora of AI models being created. There's plethora of machine learning, deep learning, implementations that are happening, and it's happening at a pace which is unimaginable, right? And that's what I'm going to talk about today, right? How to leverage AI for business transformation, how it is being leveraged today, what are the future scopes, and what is the play for you folks, right? Because there's one big misconception that AI is meant only for people from high tech background or deep maths background, and that's not true, right? The world is changing very very fast, and the need of the hour is to also have AI or analytics translators, the people who can leverage AI to accelerate business outcomes. And that's what I'm going to talk about today in my session. Now, what I request is that at any point, I mean, we can take questions towards the end, but any point you want to interact, please interrupt. This is a large audience, right? It can get very, very entropic if if we do not have an order in the sense, if I prompt you to interact, but if you feel at any point of time there is a need of interaction, we should be open to it and we should interact. I understand this is post-lunch session and it can get very, very monotonous if it is just a monologue, right? So that's the only request I have. Now, okay, it should work, but it's not working. So, so this is what I'm going to talk about today, right? As I said, right, the transformative impact of AI and its application in diverse industries, right? Today, AI is being leveraged across different verticals, across different industries. And, you know, there's very thin line, between what is AI versus what is, data analysis versus what is, BI, right? Business intelligence, right? And all of these are culminating and all of these are becoming important uh, elements for businesses to accelerate decision making, to accelerate meaningful outcomes, to generate insights which are actionable in nature. So we'll talk about that. Now, one of the things that we have worked, and I personally have worked extensively in last 4 years, especially in my current stint, is doing risk management with AI, right? And this is a very powerful field, right? Leveraging AI and advanced analytics, how to manage risk or how to mitigate risk is something that we'll talk about. I come from telecom background. Last 4 years, I have done telecom. There is a telecom focused, school which you have in this university, right? In form of BITM, right? And we'll talk about how we leverage AI in telecommunication. This is one such domain where AI has been there traditionally for long, but with 5G, with Open RAN, with so much data flowing in, right, with connected devices, AI in telecommunication has become huge, right? And there are big applications of AI in telecommunication domain. And then we'll touch upon future of AI, and we'll also talk about what is the play for people from B schools, right? People from business background as far as AI is concerned. Now, so AI or artificial intelligence in itself is something which uh, became popular in last 1 decade, right? And before that, people used to talk about analytics. Before that, there was business intelligence reporting, right, and things like those. But AI has become popular in last 1 decade, right? Very, very popular. Now, there are few milestones as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, right? If you know about neural networks, right? Neural networks was something which came into being almost 5, 6 decades back, right? But back then, there was no practical applications of neural network because as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, compute is very important. The infrastructure to execute, to implement AI models at scale is very important. And with companies like Nvidia, with graphic cards, with GPU, TPU, today compute has become easier, right? With cloud, compute has become easier, and that's when AI also got the traction that was required, right? So we'll talk about few of the milestones in business transformation, not specifically in the field of AI, but what are the few milestones in terms of business transformation, right? Now, how many of you, do online shopping? I'm sure that, almost all of you must be doing, right? On Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, right? Have you seen that when you log in on your app or website, you will get set of recommendations, right? And that is the first major application of AI that came in 2006, back in 2006. And this is called as collaborative filtering. What Amazon did is that based on historical data, consumer behavior on the website, what they have purchased in the past, similarity metrics, they came up with something called as collaborative filtering. And with collaborative filtering, they built something called a recommendation engine. So the first powerful recommendation engine that came in the industry was built by Amazon in 2006. And that was first practical application of AI in business world, right? Big application, right? In business world. In fact, the traction that Amazon got from recommendation engine was 2.6x. What it means is that the conversion became 2.6 times after the introduction of recommendation engine on the website. So what actually happened is that if the total sale, which was let's say $100, that became $260 as soon as the recommendation engine came on the website. That was the power of recommendation engine that was built by Amazon in 2006, and that was first major milestone because the technique that was used was not rule based. See, typically, what AI does and what AI used to do till few years back was to replace rule based systems, right? For example, if I have to find out who are the students who have higher propensity to join an IT company, right? So I'll have certain set of rules. Those who know computer science, those who have worked on Python, those who know MS Excel, plus those who have come from science background are the ones who have higher likelihood to join IT company, right? And this is called a rule-based system. So you have if and else statements, if and else rules, and based on rule, you decide that these are the ones who have higher likelihood to take an action. AI just replaces that, right? So with artificial intelligence, you can have all the data, all sort of data, all sort of attributes, and then it will give you an intelligence, intelligent insight, right? So it will tell you what is the likelihood in terms of percentage or probability, and it will also give you a rank order, right? So typically, this is what AI does. I'm oversimplifying it, right? First time a rule-based system was replaced with completely AI system in a large scale implementation was at Amazon in 2006, and that is called as collaborative filtering, right? So if you see, there are a lot of recommendation engines around, right? And recommendation engine, is something that all e-commerce companies have today, and they're all built on the technology of collaborative filtering. The second milestone, which was there for long, was the chatbot, and these are intelligent chatbots, right? Now we see here, there were chatbots all around, right? But they were again rule based, right? So, for example, you would have seen a few websites few applications, if you go to a chatbot which is not AI driven, which is not personalized, you will write something and they will give you a standard reply, right? But in 2015, what actually happened is that a lot of companies, including Facebook, with their AI models, made the chatbot very, very user specific or personalized in nature. So what it will do is that, let's say, you are going on a chatbot, you are chatting with a chatbot on an insurance company from where you have bought an insurance. So what it will do is you know, it will go through your history of your premium, the plans that you have taken, right? Your age, your demography, and based on that, it will give you a reply. For example, you ask question, which particular insurance plan I should go for, right? So based on your, history, based on your demographic information, based on your paying capability, right? Your credit score, it will recommend you the right plan, right? So intelligent chatbot or AI-driven chatbots, 2015, there was a big step, right? And there are a lot of open source models that were built then, and that became, standard way of implementing chatbots across industry. And that was second major innovation in AI as far as business transformation is concerned. One of the big challenge with AI models is getting the last mile optimization. And what it means, for example, tomorrow you build a model to find out who are, let's say you build a product, right? And you want to find out who are the people who will buy your product. That is called as propensity to buy, a particular item. Now, those are the people who you will target. Let's say your model gives 70% accuracy, right? Then what will happen is out of 100 people that you go, only 70 will respond, right? But if you want the accuracy to be 80%, 90%, 95%, that is called a last mile optimization or optimizing the model for better performance, better accuracy, right? But it's a tough work because AI models typically, require you to do a lot of iterations, right? Iterations means, a lot of fine tuning, hyperparameter optimization. It means making the model more robust. And that requires a lot of time, a lot of compute. In 2017, auto ML came into being. There are a lot of companies which came with this concept. And auto ML is nothing but automatically tuning the model for best accuracy, best precision, best performance, right? And AutoML also brought citizen data scientists into the picture. Now, there are two types of data scientists. One are data scientists who are data science practitioners, who know the maths, who know the technology behind it, can build their own model, can code, can do all of those. And then there are citizen data scientists. Do you know what are citizen data scientists? Anyone? Who are citizen data scientists? So, citizen data scientists are people who do not actually know the nuances or the intricacies of building AI models, but leveraging auto ML, leveraging interactive tools, they're able to build their own models, right, and deploy it. And those are the set of people who are called as citizen data scientists. And that's where you have auto ML, coming into being. And auto ML came into being in 2017. A lot of companies, I mean, Google started it, but a lot of companies, including S2O, if you have heard about S2O AI, Data Robo, right? Later, Amazon also. A lot of companies came with their auto ML suites and auto ML, open source contributions. The next innovation that happened was in 2021, and this became very important, where AI driven content generation tools became sophisticated. There were content generation tools earlier also, but they were not very, very sophisticated in nature, right? Now you have used, LLM tools like Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT came into being in, just last year, but in 2021 there was some content generation tool. Have you heard about DALI? Yeah, what does it do? Image, right? So basically, these are called generative AI tools which generate content. The content can be video, the content can be audio, the content can be images, as DALI does, Midjourney does, right? Or it can be, set of, language-driven content, right? What Chat GPT does, Llama does, and all others, Palm does, right? This is a very major innovation. See, for building an AI model, what you need is corpus. Now, what I mean by corpus is historical data, right? For example, if Balaji University, right, builds a model to understand who are the students who will take admission at Balaji University, and just throwing it out, right? So this is called as a propensity model, a classification model. What they will need is historical data of last 5 years. Who are the students who have taken admission? Which background they come from? How much marks they scored in different examinations, right? Which state they come from? What is their demographic information? And then they can, build a model, right? So you need corpus to train a model. What any generative AI tool does is that it gets huge amount of corpus, right? So just to give you a view, if you talk about Chat GPT or GPT 3.5, what it has been done, how it has been built is that it has got large amount of data from the web, right? And from different sources. Now there are four sources. There are four typical sources which are there. The first source is Wikipedia. Do you know about Wikipedia? You see how much information is there in Wikipedia? Yeah. The second source is general crawl. And what it basically does is that common crawl, right? It crawls all the websites which are crawls means it basically prospects all the websites which are there, right? So it will go to your university website also and get information from there, right? And that is called a web crawling. The third is books one, which is all the scholarly articles. Have you gone to Google, and searched for something? For example, you search for large language models, right? You will get a recommendation for scholarly articles. Have you seen that? They're all research papers. So if you can try in a mobile also, right? They're all research papers, right? Research papers which have been published in top ABDC listed journals, conferences. They are the third corpus for ChatGPT model. And the fourth corpus is one which they have not, publicly, come up with, but they are unpublished books, right? So there are a lot of books which are published and which are there in public domain, but there are also unpublished books, and that corpus also remains with a lot of publishers and a lot of other, bodies, and those books contents, right, have also been, taken. So very large corpus was taken, and then a model was built. And therefore, if you ask any question to, Chat GPT, it gives you an answer. Not many times the answer will be correct. It might be wrong, and that is called a hallucination. There where, you have to fine tune the model. You have to make it contextual to your purpose, right? And that's called as retrieval augmented generation, RAG. It's a big thing that is going to happen in future. It has already started. You leverage these generative AI modules, generative AI tools, and then you build your own context on top with retrieval augmented generation, right? So in 2021, with a lot of these players, right, OpenAI and others, right, they started launching generative AI content creation tools, and that was a big innovation in the field, right? Because now data was not a challenge, right? Because these tools also generate data for you. They can simulate data for you. For example, you want to build a recommendation engine, but you don't have historical data. How you will do it, right? You can use generative adversarial nets to create data. So you can use generative tools to create your own data and then build your model. And that was another, big innovation in the field of AI, right? You know about Tesla? Have you heard about Tesla? What is Tesla? Electric car, right? There's a lot of work going on, and a lot of companies are doing that, right? NIMO, Google. There are a lot of companies which are doing work on self-drive cars, right? What are self-drive cars? Driverless car, right? So there is no driver; it drives on its own, right? Now, a lot of work has been going on for quite long, but the actual, implementation that happened was FSD, right? An FSD beta program, which happened in 2021. And this is one of the biggest steps in the field of autonomous driving. See, there are a lot of elements involved when it comes to autonomous driving. The first element is, computer vision, because it should be able to identify the route, if there is any blockage, right? If there is any interruption, right? It should be able to navigate. It should be able to, increase, decrease speed based on the terrain and a lot of things, right? So it's a lot of computer vision application which is there, and it's also very risky because if there's very small margin of error, you cannot have a 95% accurate model, right? Because with 5% margin of error, you will still meet with accidents, right? So Tesla, despite of regulatory challenges, regulatory constraints, launched its FSD beta program in 2021, and today a lot of companies are doing a lot of work in the field of self-driving car, right? The future is that 5 years, if not not more than 5 years, right? 5 years down the line, almost every major economy of the world will have autonomous cars in some or the other shape, or autonomous vehicles in some or the other shape, right? So a lot of advancement has been made in that field, and 2021 was a major milestone for Tesla with the FSD that they launched. And then 2023, 22-23, we all know what was the biggest innovation in AI? Yeah, so everyone knows it as Chat GPT. But OpenAI, launched GPT-4 multi-model LLM. See, LLM used to exist in some other form, and they were used to call as NLQ, natural language query. You ask query in natural language, the machine will respond in natural language, right? That used to exist for quite long, but with, as I said, with OpenAI's innovation, it became more user-friendly, it became more robust, and GPT-4 is a multimodal LLM that can receive both text as well as image prompts. See, what do you mean by prompt? What is prompt? The questions that you ask, the content that you type, right? Your query is called as prompt, right? Today, if you see the GPT, Chat GPT access that you have, or Llama access, or Palm access that you have, right? You can only ask question as text, right? You cannot have an image input, right? But it is already in beta, and a lot of people are using. We are using it. You can also give an image prompt. So, for example, I take photo of this and give it as a prompt, right? It will give me a response, and it can give me both text as well as image response. So I give it as a prompt, it will tell me, it describe this picture, right? So it will describe this picture, right? So now with multimodal, LLM, you can have prompt both in text as well as image, right? If you're working on a science project, right, you can give image as a prompt. An engine, you can give as a prompt, it'll give you all the description of that engine. So that is another, bigger advancement that happened in 2023. And last year and this year, especially this year, things are moving very, very fast, especially in the area of generative AI, right? And that's where, prompt engineering has become very, very important. What has become, what was not possible 1 year back has become, table stake today, right? Isn't it? So if you see here, the advancement has been such that all the companies, right, OpenAI, which is sponsored by, you all know, who is the biggest funding, which company has given the most fund to OpenAI? Microsoft, right? And Microsoft has also integrated that with their MS Office suite, right? So GPT-4 or OpenAI has got funding from Microsoft. Meta, which was formerly known as Facebook, Meta has also invested big time in LLM with their open source offering. What is that called as? Llama. It's called as Llama, right? And they have launched Llama 2, which is very, very powerful, right? Google has also invested a lot in LLM. You know what it is called as? And Palm, Palm, right? Just go and search for it. Now, why these companies are doing this? See, the world of AI is going to become very different. It's already becoming, very different from traditionally, the AI was being leveraged. And a lot of things will revolve around API integration, integrating, your tool, your ecosystem to these generative AI, models through API, right? The world is also moving towards, becoming analytics, AI translators, right? And that's where prompt engineering is becoming very, very important. How to do prompt engineering, right? Engineering itself on top of, see, the biggest challenge with these models, what is the biggest challenge with, building your own LLM model? Why you can't build your own LLM? Why you should not build your own LLM model from scratch? Why you should not? Biasness. Okay, good point. One is biasness, and I want to talk about that. Why you should not build your own LLM model? Why you should leverage? I mean, in ideal world, why you should leverage your, an open source and then do fine tuning on top? Any idea? The biggest factor is cost. You know how much cost goes. I mean, you know that how much cost OpenAI, basically has to just maintain these models, to keep it constantly running. Any idea? How much? Wild guess. How much will OpenAI spend? How much OpenAI spend just to maintain these models? Yeah. So $10 billion that they have got, the funding, it might get exhausted in 1.5 years. So if they keep building the way they are building, and they keep because every time you ask a query, there's a cost that they have to pay, right? because the cost of compute, the largest cost that they have is the cost of compute. All of these models run on GPU. Do you know what is GPU? Right? One of the biggest success story as far as stocks are concerned, which is one of the biggest success story of stock in last 1 year, Nvidia. Why? Because of their GPUs, right? These GPUs, these graphic cards are being leveraged by all the companies, be it Meta, be it OpenAI, be it Google. Everyone is leveraging their graphic cards, and their stock has become it has become, I think, 10, 12, 15 times in last 1 year, right? So the reason is that they are minting a lot of money. There is a lot of demand for compute, and the demand is such that there is shortage of graphic cards, right? So there's a lot of cost involved. One of the biggest field of innovation or research that is going on is to how to optimize that cost. So you leverage a pre-existing model, be it Llama, be it GPT-4, be it Palm, and then how you make it better and locally contextualize it for your use, and then decrease the cost, right? And that's where retrieval augmented generation that I was talking about comes into being. Now, these are few of the innovations, or these are few of the milestones as far as AI in business transformation is concerned. But then, what is the value of AI for enterprises, right? If you see, one of the biggest fad, and a lot of people will say that AI is important, but we don't know how to use it, right? Artificial intelligence is something which is important, but we don't know how to use it, right? Uh, this is the result out of a survey by PwC, and what it basically says is that 72% of CXOs believe that AI will be the most significant business advantage. But there are a lot of challenges with AI adoption, and AI adoption is not easy. One of the biggest challenges is skill gap, right? You know, uh, see, one of the biggest challenges is skill gap, but more than skill gap, as far as AI is concerned, non-existence of data or non-existence of clean data is a very difficult constraint to solve, right? You see here, 96%. So all the models that are built, so there are plethora of, as I said today, there are plethora of AI models that are built, but only 15% of them actually are leveraged or actually are used. 85% of them never go into production. 85% of the AI models built worldwide are never used. The reason being, there are a lot of challenges with AI adoption. The biggest challenge is of aggregating and preparing data sets, and that is data preparation, getting the data in the right form. I give you any data, right? If you're not able to transform it to the right form, right? If you're not able to bring business, domain in that data, you'll not be able to, build a effective AI model. The AI model will be like garbage in, garbage out, right? And that's where business domain becomes very, very important. For example, you want to build a model for, let's say, uh, telecom fraud, right? Now, if you don't understand the telecom domain, if you don't understand the fraud domain, you will not be able to build model, because you will not be able to understand what data to take, what are the features which will impact fraud, and how to build the model, right? Do you know about some of the telecom fraud, the fraud that happens in telecom industry? Yeah, louder. Voice, voice cloning, perfect. What else? 3G. Okay, 2G spectrum scam. That's a scam which happened. I mean, I don't know, but that's not a scam in telecom domain. That is a scam which happened at regulatory level or government level. I mean, we don't want to talk about that. I'm talking about in the telecom industry, right? Scams which are perpetrated by the end users, right, or bodies, which are trying to disrupt the network or trying to get undue advantage out of the whole ecosystem, right? So you rightly said one of the scam is voice cloning, right, or impersonation. What else? Do you know about Simbox? Deepfake. Yeah, deepfake is same as voice cloning because it's on voice. Deepfake, okay, leveraging deep learning to fake someone's voice, right, an accent. Okay, what else? SMS phishing, very very big scam, or SMS scams, right? SMS and WhatsApp scam, right? That's a very big scam. What else? There are a lot of scams which happens on the call routing side, right? And they are more technical in nature. something called a SIM-box. I don't know whether you know about SIM-box. What they basically do is that they have a big box where they have multiple SIMs, and what they do with that is route an international call as a local call. And what happens? The telecom company ends up losing revenue because of these scams, right? This is a recent news. If you see, our minister, right, Mr. Sweeney, right, he talked about this in a recent news, SIM-box fraud. So there's a lot of frauds that happen. But merely having data, you will not be able to do anything. You will have to have deep domain expertise to build the models. And that's where domain plays a very important role as far as AI is concerned, right? AI will not do magic if you don't understand the domain itself, isn't it? And therefore, business understanding is very, very important. The other problem is, of course, moving model to production. This is an engineering task. There is huge amount of data, right, that flows in. There is huge amount of compute which is required, but that is not enough. You have to also optimize the compute, right? So things like Dockerization, Kubernetes, deploying model in production becomes very, very important. And the other thing is, you have built a model. Today, when you have built the model, it's giving you certain accuracy, certain performance. But there's something called the data drift. The world is changing very, very fast. The model might not perform so well after 1 year, after 6 months. So what is important is to also monitor your model consistently, right? And that is also very, very important. That is called ML monitoring. Now, these are top challenges in AI adoption. The first one is data science is hard and time consuming. There's a lot of complexity with model building, isn't it? You need to know Python, Scala, Julia, right? A bunch of tools and techniques, and then once you build the model, you have to also make it better, or make it more accurate. And that's where last mile optimization comes in. You do hyperparameter optimization, feature engineering. So it's very complex in nature. Building a model from scratch is very complex in nature. The second one is a scarcity of relevant skills, right? A gap between demand and skill is huge, right? Relevant skill, you have very, even though, academia is trying very hard, and there's a lot of industry academia collaboration that is happening, the skill gap is still very, very large. And this is not because of inefficiency on side of industry or academia. This is because the whole domain is moving very, very fast, right? The pace at which it is moving is very tough to play the catch up game. And the third one is lack of business adoption, and this is very important point. See, AI more or less is black box. I come to you, you ask me to build a model. I come to you and say that my model is saying that uh, you know we should go and invest in let's say this particular stock, algorithmic trading. Do you know about algorithmic trading? Have you heard about it? Right. So I have built a model, and I just tell you that go and buy Subex stock, right, or go and buy Tata Communications, right? Why you will believe me? AI models more often than not are black box in nature, right? You don't know, how it has been built, what are the set of inputs, what are the set of outputs, and therefore businesses, right, are wary, of adopting AI models. They don't want to adopt AI models because of the black box nature of AI, right? And that's where explainability comes into being. Building a model is not enough. You have to have explainability induced within. You have to make the model interpretable in nature. You have to have business understanding to translate a data mining outcome into a business outcome, right? Similarly, you have to have business understanding to translate a business problem into a data mining problem, right? And these are biggest challenges. One of the biggest gap is that, and this is specifically to India, right, and worldwide also, right? India is, almost, in top three as far as AI practitioners are concerned. It's one of the top three countries in the world: USA, China, and then India. But the problem is the AI practitioners operate in silo, so they don't have business knowledge, and the business knowledge folks do not have AI knowledge, and they don't work together, and therefore we are not seeing a lot of advancements that are coming out of the country. Even though we have the third highest number of practitioners in the world, we are not able to see the innovations at the scale at which we would like to see, right? And that's a big problem, and that is because there's very small, big gap between the domain experts or the business domain, experts or business experts and the AI practitioners, the one who build the model from scratch. And that's where I think, academia and industry together has to play a very important role in bridging this gap and also remove the whole misconception that for building AI model, you need to be, know coding, you need to have coding background and things like those. That's not true anymore, right? Things are changing very, very fast. Now, these are a few of the opportunities. I will not go in detail on this because I want to talk about something else. But these are a few of the business transformation opportunities which have existed. Traditionally, AI is being leveraged a lot on automation, right? If you call a call center now, right, your call is routed to the right agent, right? At times, you get the IVR response. In few of the cases, for example, your payment has failed and you have made a call, you will get the response on IVR itself. Sorry that your payment has failed, your amount will be credited in 7 days. This is all personalization. A lot of automation has happened, and the human in loop. I mean, you always need human in loop, but a lot of human intervention are being removed, leveraging AI and RPA. Talent sourcing, AI is being leveraged big time in talent sourcing. Companies like Amazon has done that from last 10, 12 years, right? All the resumes go through a, AI model, and based on keywords, based on experience, based on demography, it selects those resumes which are highly likely to, crack the interview and then join, right? So a lot of talent sourcing happens through AI. Today, if you see, a lot of companies have adopted the model of not only screening the resumes, screening the profiles, but also testing the student, right? So adaptive testing happens through AI, right? Uh, Customer relationship management, right? A lot of CRM that happens through AI, right? Which are the customers who are most likely to respond to certain campaign? Let's say you want to run a campaign to get few customers to buy a new cell phone that you have launched. You have customer base of 3 million customers. Would you send mails or would you send pamphlets to all 3 million? That will not be practical, right? AI helps you select those customers who are most likely to respond to your campaigns, those customers who are most likely to buy your product, those customers who are most likely to subscribe to your service. So a lot of customer relationship management happens through AI, right? Healthcare is a big domain. A lot of advancement has happened in healthcare, especially in terms of screening diseases, right? A lot of I don't know how many of you know there's a disease called as glaucoma. Have you heard about glaucoma? It's a disease of the eyes, right? And glaucoma screening is a tough one, right? There's something called a field test that you have to give, and the field test is not very user friendly, right? And there are a lot of other tests which happens to find out, open angle glaucoma and other glaucoma. But AI with simple scan can now predict the likelihood of a person having glaucoma, right? A lot of advancement is going on in the field of cancer screening. TB screening is a big thing. A lot of AI advancement has happened. 50% of TB screening today in the world happens through AI, right? So a lot of AI advancement has happened in terms of screening. But one of the biggest challenges is also drug discovery, right? Drug discovery is a big challenge because for getting a drug to pass all the regulatory compliances, you have to do a lot of tests, right? How a drug is passed. What is the process called as? Hmm? Clinical trials, isn't it? And these clinical trials are very, very stringent in nature. Also, they are also very risky. For example, if you want to uh, test a drug, you want to do a clinical trial on human, right? There are a lot of regulatory constraints which are there, and then it's also very risky because if something happens to someone, right, the companies which are doing those clinical trials will be liable, right? With AI, a lot of drug discovery happens, right, on the fly, right? So a lot of need of stringent clinical trials will become unnecessary in a couple of years from now. A lot of work has already started in this domain. For COVID, also a lot of AI was leveraged by a lot of companies to get to the final vaccine, right? I mean, the clinical trial, was very, not very elaborate in nature. A lot of AI was leveraged at that time, but this will, this field is still evolving and will become, a table stake in a couple of years from now. We all know AI in finance. I talked about algorithmic trading, right? Uh, There are companies, payment processors. You heard about Razorpay? Have you heard about Razorpay? What it does? It's for payment processing, right? Now, Razorpay basically predicts what is the likelihood of a payment failure, right? So there are a lot of elements which are there when you make a payment, right? If you see 5 years back, if you had have made online payment, a lot of payment failure used to happen. India had a payment failure rate of 23% on an average. So out of every 100 transactions that were made, 23 used to fail, right? Because there are a lot of there are terminals, right? Bank terminals, and then there are payment gateways, and the failure can happen at any point, right? So predicting payment failure well in advance, and then switching the gateways, right? So if there is one gateway which has high likelihood of failure, you switch the gateway to other one, and the payment failure. So now the payment failure rate in India is less than 7%, which is a great advancement in terms of payments, right? Worldwide, we are one of the best in terms of payment, of course, because of UPI also, but in credit card payment, debit card payment also, we are one of the best in the world. And this is because of AI. Supply chain, inventory planning and control, right? This is a very big field in retail, in e-commerce, right? I'll give you an example, right? Uh, how many of you know about Amazon Prime? You all know, right? What happens in Amazon Prime? What is the advantage? 1 day delivery, 2 day delivery, right? Now, let's say you bought a TV, LCD or LED TV, which is, let's say, 100-inch or very big LED TV, right? It's priced at, let's say, 80,000 rupees, right? And you have bought it at Walkard in Pune. And because you are a Prime customer, they have to fulfill it within the next day. Now, let's say that TV and Amazon has got something called as distribution centers, right? Which are more like godowns, right? They're godowns in different places, right? And let's say you've ordered a TV, and that TV is not there in Mumbai distribution center, and they have to tranship it, or basically send it from other center. What will happen? The cost will increase because they will still have to fulfill it tomorrow, right? They will have to send by flight. The cost of transshipment will increase, and this is called as inventory planning and control. AI plays a very, very important role in inventory planning and control. Those of you who would have taken supply chain classes would know something called as economic order quantity. Do you know about economic order quantity? Right? See, economic order quantity typically is based on a formula, right? Now, what is happening is that there's something called an economic order model. And what it does, it leverages AI to basically predict a few things: what to buy, where to buy from, which seller to buy from, where to stock, right? And how much to stock, right? So the whole inventory planning and control is becoming AI driven, right? Amazon does it very, very well. Other companies are also doing it worldwide, right? An economic order model has become the norm as far as supply chain is concerned. There are other, areas also where you have uh, AI for supply chain, and we'll not go into detail of that. Now, moving on, risk management with AI. You all know about risk management with AI, right? Fraud is a big area, and you have seen how much frauds happen today. So many financial fraud happens. They send you an SMS, you click on that, and your money is gone out of bank, right? You make they send you. So I'll give you an example, right? The biggest fraud that happened 2 years back was because of food delivering apps. You heard about food delivering? Zomato, Swiggy. So what used to happen? If you see, Zomato, Swiggy do not have a call center number. You can call them through the app itself, isn't it? Or you can contact them through the chat. But if you go on the web, go and find Swiggy customer care number, you will have numbers which will flash up. These are all fraudulent numbers, right? You call them, for example, you ordered something and you say that you ordered jalebi, fafra, and let's say, curd rice, and the curd rice was not delivered to you. Now, ideal way of contacting the customer care is through the app itself. But customers, being naive, they go on the web and search for Swiggy customer care. They get some numbers, they call there, they say, yeah, we'll refund your money. And the way to refund your money is that, I'll give you a link, click on that, enter your details. And by the time you enter your details, they will ask for UPI ID or something. Your money is, gone. 2018, 19, this is a big fraud that 1920, big fraud during the lockdown, right? Just when the lockdown happened. Big fraud that happened in this domain. Multi-million dollars were siphoned from the bank accounts. Now, risk management with AI has become big, right? There are B2B there as well as B2C applications of risk management, and a lot of AI is being leveraged there, right? Be it financial risk, regulatory compliance, few industries, for example, insurance industry, if or banking, right? In banking industry, if some fraud happens, it becomes a regulatory compliance, and bank will be liable to pay, right? If it is not because of your mistake, isn't it? So it's also regulatory compliance. For regulatory compliance, you need to detect the fraud before it happens and abate that, mitigate that fraud. And there are a lot of applications, right? Employee satisfaction, operational description, customer satisfaction, anomaly detection. Anomaly detection is the field where you detect anomaly, right? I talked about payment failure, right? So what it basically does, it basically looks at how the gateways are behaving, right? There should be some steady trend. As soon as they see that the gateways trend become lesser, they detect that anomaly, and before a payment happens, they switch the gateway, right? So that's anomaly detection, and you leverage a lot of AI there. We have time series anomaly detection. You have, cross-sectional anomaly detection, and for all of these, there are a lot of AI applications or AI models which basically have. And these are few of the other fields which are there. Now, I want to talk about telecommunication. I don't want to spend. I know that we are going above the hour, so I'll take another 7-8 minutes, and then I will open for questions. But now, telecommunication is one field which really has big application of AI. How many of you have experienced call drops? Earlier, it used to happen a lot, right? Now also, you see there are a lot of call drops that happens. Call drop is a phenomena where, your call drops, right? Now, companies are liable to pay you or liable to be penalized, the telecom operators, if the call drop happens more frequent and if you're able to prove it, right? So call drop is a big problem, and that happens because of multiple reasons, right? For example, WACD, they have predicted, or WACD, average load of number of subscribers of, let's say, Reliance Jio are 1 million. 1 million is a big number. Let's say 50,000, right, on a typical day. But some event happened. Balaji, see, Balaji University did some event, and 200,000 people came. What will happen? The network disruption will happen, right? Predicting that event and then optimizing the network is very, very important. In Open RAN, in 5G world, this is going to be a natural phenomena. This has to be done. And network optimization can happen if and only if there is AI in place. Predicting traffic well in advance, predicting throughput well in advance, optimizing on the go, right? And a lot of work has been done in this area. In fact, we are one of the pioneers, right, in few of the global regions on network optimization, right? So with few of the biggest operators of the world, we do network optimization, and we are one of the pioneers in the world. Personalized offer and recommendation, right? Based on your usage. I mean, India is a prepaid heavy market. It's still prepaid heavy market, but in prepaid also there are a lot of plans which are there. You've seen that, right? You have 399 plan, you have 599 plan, or there are multiple plans. Recommending you the right plan and then retaining you on that plan. A lot of AI goes into that, right? Not only that, if I'm able to predict, for example, I'm able to predict. India is also a multi-SIM market. A lot of people will be using two SIMs. How many of you use two SIMs? Right? You see almost 50% of the people here are using dual SIMs, dual SIM phone, dual SIM cards, right? And they must be from two different operators. The reason being, we always feel that if one of the network does not work well, we'll switch to the other network, right? Now, the problem is India still only has three major operators. But imagine if in a country there are 20 operators. At one point of time in India also there were 7, 8, 9 different operators, right? There are 20 operators. You have a lot of options, isn't it? And getting a SIM is not a worry. You will switch. You will say, oh, Airtel is not working, I'll go for Jio. Jio is not working, I'll go for Vodafone, right? Now here, identifying those set of customers who are likely to churn out, which is called a churn prediction model, right? Who are likely to give you away your SIM and take another SIM. Identifying those customers, sending personalized offer to them. And what is my personalized offer? If you it will give you 5 GB extra data, right? If you get 5 GB extra data, you will say I will not switch, isn't it? So identifying that and then doing that personalized targeting is very, very important. In India, it's still not at that level, but I say, in the markets, North America, other markets where there are multiple options, especially in postpaid, churn prediction and then doing personalization and recommendation becomes very, very important. Customer service automation. This is a very important field, right? Few of the telcos in the world, what they have done, very recently, right? What they have done is, as soon as you call to the customer care, the chat transcript, the call transcript happens on the fly. So basically, you call and say that I'm not able to use PUBG, right, on my phone because PUBG is not able to, I'm not able to get the bandwidth required for PUBG. So as soon as you say that, the transcript will happen. The customer care executive will get knowledge articles popped up on that, and they'll be able to respond to you. Not only that, the telecom opcos will be able to identify the problem that you are facing well in advance and are able to deflect the call. This is called as FCR. FCR is first call resolution. So you call to the call center. On the IVR itself, I'm able to resolve your problem, right? So a lot of call center automation is happening, leveraging AI. As I said, churn prediction and customer retention. I talked about this. This is a lot. Fraud detection. I talked about capacity planning. I don't know whether you know about capacity planning. The biggest problem for telcos, as I said, right, is to manage the capacity, right? Plan where to get the tower. For example, I want to have a telecom tower. How to decide where to get the tower, right? How to decide in advance that how much bandwidth the tower should have, right? All of these capacity planning, where to invest, network investment planning, a lot of AI is being leveraged. And one of the pioneers in this field is Indian operators, especially Geo, right? They're doing a lot of work in terms of capacity planning. We also do a lot of work with a lot of telcos in the field of capacity planning. Now, how are we using AI? I talked about this briefly earlier. AI, we believe, and most practitioners today believe, is not about practitioners anymore. We need citizen data scientists, people with business backgrounds to come and become AI practitioners, to become AI translators. And how does that happen? That will happen through self-serve AI, when you're able to build models without writing a single line of code. And that is happening already, right? Without actually knowing the nuances of AI. You are able to tune the model, do the last mile optimization, get the best accuracy through AutoML, right? And all of this is happening. What is important for people who are from business backgrounds, who do not necessarily have coding background, is to learn how to leverage the outcomes of AI. For example, understand, become a citizen data scientist, understand if I have to predict something, what kind of models we need to leverage, right? If I have to predict, fraud, do I build a classification model or a regression model, right? This, I mean, if you know this much, and then if you use self-serve tools which are all out there, be it Amazon AWS SageMaker, be it Google, which they have own tool, Microsoft Azure has got AutoML suite. A lot of tools are out there where you don't necessarily need to code to build models, but what you need to know is to appreciate AI, is to understand some some surface knowledge of AI is definitely required, but don't know know the nuances. A, B, you need to be very strong in domain. Your play is to be able to translate a business problem into a data mining problem. I come to you and say, what, there's a lot of traffic because of from Hinjewadi, and I'm not able to, and every time the students are coming late to the class because of traffic. Now, this is a business problem, isn't it? You have to convert it to data mining problem, right? So you need to do, route optimization, right? Find the most optimal route, right? So I'm just oversimplifying it, but the ability to translate a business problem into a data mining problem is a very important skill, and that requires business knowledge. Similarly, consuming AI outputs. So you have got AI outcomes, how to consume it, right? That is also a very important skill, right? Translating an AI output to, suit the business audience is a very important skill to acquire, and that's where a lot of work is going on. The third field, which is becoming extremely important with advent of LLMs and generative AI, is prompt engineering, right? How to get to the right prompt, because there's a cost associated with the prompt. If you have to get to the right answer by doing 10 prompts, versus if you're smart and getting the right answer with one prompt, you'll always be preferred to have that one prompt. So prompt engineering, and you should read about it, is becoming a very important field in the world of AI, and especially for non-practitioners, non-traditional non-practitioners. So we developed a self-serve tool called the Hypersense AI. And what we have done as a practice, right? We built a very strong team, right? We built people from best of the colleges, from the best of the companies like Amazon's, VMware's, and others. We built a very strong team to start with. But today, in last couple of years, because of our Hypersense AI platform, we are able to build. I mean, we work with 70% of world top 50 telcos, 75% of world top 50 telcos. You name a telco, and they are our customer, right? And the reason we are able to scale, right, and work with them is because we have our own self-serve platform, AI platform called as Hypersense AI. You don't need to write code to build the models, right? And what we have done an experiment. We have started hiring from B schools. So we get B schools folks who do not have coding background, who do not necessarily have tech background, but they are able to become practitioners. They are able to become AI evangelists, AI translators in our organization, and are able to work. And same experiment is done by all the companies, the hyperscalers also, right? And that is going to be new norm. So it's very important to have the business knowledge, but it's very important to have the skill of translating a business problem into a data mining problem, and then a data mining output into a business outcome, right? That's very, very important. The other thing I said is because of advent of LLMs, prompt engineering is something which you need to learn and be master at, right? And that will basically distinguish a good, citizen data scientist from an average one, right? And that's where a lot of work needs to be done by people, especially with no tech background. This is our platform. I'm not going to detail, but it does end-to-end, AI deployment. We have, launched LLM suite. In DTW, we are launching our own LLM, telco LLM, right? It means all the telcos will be able to, get our product, and then with question answer, they'll be able to solve a lot of problems, right? And especially in customer service and other domains. So we have launched that also. Uh, and as I said, right, as I said, it's not only meant for data scientists, and be it data scientists, be it business users, decision makers, even business analysts, data analysts, everyone can, work on AI now. And the world is moving towards democratizing AI, right? It's not limited to a small set of people, right? Democratization is the word, and the world is moving towards it, and you have a very important role to play, right? So have that confidence, start working in that area, and as I said, right, each one of us, each one of you have the mojo to become a pure play AI practitioner in future. Yeah. So with that, I will just conclude. This is future of AI, but I will not go into detail. I will just talk about a couple of things. Right. One is uh, AI is good. AI is being leveraged, but while AI is being leveraged, we cannot forget the ethics. Right. AI has to be fair. AI has to be ethical, and ethics in AI, that's another field which you guys can pick up, right? Ethics in AI is a very important field where a lot of investment is going to come. Someone pointed out bias, right? Model biasness. You have built a credit scoring model, it invariably gives higher score to male versus female. That's a model bias. That's called an algorithmic bias, right? You cannot have algorithmic bias, right? So bias in model, non-transparency, making opaque model, non-transparent model, non-explainable model is not acceptable, right? So fairness and ethics are going to be a very important field. A lot of investment is going to come in this particular, subdomain in AI, right? So ethics in AI is something all the companies worldwide are going to invest a lot, and a lot of opportunity lies there. Ample opportunity lies. A lot of people say that AI will replace human. That's 100% untrue. It will not replace human. It will make human more efficient. And the opportunity lies by augmenting human capabilities. So human in loop will be very, very important, right? So as I said, with the new, advancements in AI, if you are able to leverage those tools in an efficient fashion, you are going to have a very big play. So human in loop is very, very important. As I said, prompt engineers will have very bright future, right? And of course, collaboration, which is same, which goes to the same point a second, right? Collaboration becomes very important. There's something called a RLHF, reinforcement learning with human feedback. Since a lot of things are getting automated, you will see traditional practitioners' play will become significantly lesser. I mean, it will still exist, but only at the top spectrum, right? The real advanced developers will still exist, but a lot of low-end developers will have I will not say they will their career. I mean, they will have to foregone, but they will have lesser play. And that's where uh, people who are business users, who understand the domain, will become very important, because human feedback for improving AI model is super critical. That's happening today also, right? You see all the LLMs which are improving day by day. They're all happening because of reinforcement learning with human feedback, right? So human feedback become very, very important. And for human feedback, you have to understand business. You have to understand the worldly matters, isn't it? So these are a few of the future of AI. And with that, I conclude my session. As I said, there is ample opportunity for each one of us, and each one of us has enough play because of advancement in AI, right? So the advancement in AI is for more inclusion, for more democratization, and if we navigate this well, we will have a lot of play. Thank you. I don't know whether we are above the hour, but I'm open to a couple of questions maybe.